Good morning. Good morning. What is going on, everybody? Thank you very much for being here. Monday, March 24th, 8 a.m. on the dot. 8 a.m. on the dot. Thank you very much for being here, everybody. What do we got left? 3 weeks left in the regular season? Something like that? Only 12 games left in the regular season? Kind of crazy. Kind of trip there how quick this has gone by. Thank you for being here. Appreciate you guys being a part of the Sleewa Show. Thank you for being a part of Hoops Talk. Appreciate you guys hanging out. What did we start? October 1st? Something like that. October 2nd. Please subscribe to the channel if you've yet to subscribe. Would greatly appreciate that. And we got a fun show lined up. So let's get right to it. Get the show started here. I got some topics here that we'll get to in just a second. I encourage anybody, as I'm about to go throw a quote out here. I usually start the morning show with a quote. If you got a quote that you want me to read, something that you think is beneficial to everybody, then throw it my way. Would love to get everybody's thoughts. Okay. Here's a quote I got for this morning. The man who moves a mountain begins by carrying away small stones. The man who moves a mountain begins by carrying away small stones. I like that. Phenomenal. Trying to move a mountain? Well, you got, it's a process to it. It takes a while to get there. Phenomenal quote right there. If you guys got some quotes you guys want to throw down, feel free to put them in the chat. Let me just take a quick look at the chat here real quick. Good morning to everyone. Good morning, Slee. Good morning, Slee. Hey, Al. All right, good morning, everybody. All right, perfect. We got a couple of quotes here, which I'm going to get to in just a second. All right, let me just give everyone kind of a quick rundown what we got for the show today, and we'll keep things moving here. Here's what we got going on today. The hell happened on Saturday? The hell happened? I was out here pumping my chest on Friday night. I'm like, okay, well, they'll beat the Bulls, and then they'll go from there. Talk a little bit about that loss. Was that just one bad loss? Is there a little bit of concern from there? Critical 4-game road trip coming up for the Lakers. Just as big as it gets for the Lakers, to be honest with you. If they still want a shot at that number 2 seed, if that's something that's realistic, they're going to have a really good week. And I think what I'm going to try to figure out over this next week is I think I know what the team is. Unless maybe there's something else going on and I don't know what the team is. I think we'll find out over this 4-game road trip. There was a really, really good podcast. I played a little bit of it last week. Marcus Morris Sr. was on Yahoo Sports, and one of the topics on there ended up making it on First Take on Friday, and I didn't get a chance to see it as a topic, so I'm going to do it today. And the conversation was Anthony Davis in LeBron's way, as in it's better that they eventually moved on for, whatever the reasons are. So we'll talk a little bit about that. I got a couple quotes there, one from Marcus Morris Sr. and then the other one coming from Stephen A. Smith that was giving his opinion as well. Reaves is a third option. Lou Williams was on a pod, I think their own pod, or I think it was on the FanDuel TV that they do with Michelle Beadle and Chandler Parsons. And they were talking about third options in the NBA, kind of where Reaves is on that list. I want to take a look at that. A lot of good NBA news. A lot of stuff coming with, guys coming back from injuries or getting close to returning. Still a lot of shaking up going on in the Western Conference. A couple players in the East as well. Then we got our weekend recap, and then we're going to call it a day. So I appreciate you guys hanging out. Thank you for being here, and we can get the show started. Let me look here at a couple of the quotes here, and then we'll go. Procrastination is like a credit card. It's a lot of fun until you get the bill. Yeah, I find myself procrastinating a lot too. Not a good trait. Not a good trait. Wait until the last second to get something done. What's funny too is anytime I give myself plenty of time or I say, you know what, I'm not going to procrastinate today. I'm just going to get whatever it is on my mind done. And you go get it done. You're like, well, that was easy. And oh my gosh, look how much more time I have on my day. Kind of funny how we play with all that stuff. All right, let's see what else we have here. Felix, failure is just another step going up. I like that. Got to have failure. Got to have failure. No matter how hard the wind blows, the mountain will never bow to it. Ooh. I like that as well. All right, very good. Very good. We got a lot of good quotes here, so I appreciate you guys sharing. That's always helpful to see some of this stuff. All right, let's get one more in here. I got one more in here. The road to heaven feels like hell. The road to hell feels like heaven. Damn, you guys dropping bars over here. What the hell's going on here? Everybody's got some good quotes this morning. Everybody's got some good quotes. Okay, I appreciate you guys throwing those in here, and we'll if I see any other ones, we'll obviously throw them in there. But I'm a fan of these because anyone can take something from one of these, and who knows how it could trigger the rest of their week or the rest of their day. All right, let's talk a little bit about what happened on Saturday night. What the hell happened on Saturday night? I'm still trying to figure out what happened on Saturday night. That game, you actually kind of felt it as the game got started. And it was, what'd they have? I think Chicago dropped 32 in the first quarter. They had 33 at halftime, or I'm sorry, they had 33 in the second quarter, dropped 65 in the first half. You're like, all right, well, I think they're gonna cool down. But for me, I think what was the telling sign, I think Lakers were down, if I'm right, now that I'm thinking about, they were down 65-62 at halftime. The first couple of minutes was going to tell me, are Lakers going to be in for a dogfight the rest of this game? Or are they, they weren't in a dogfight because they got their asses kicked. But the first couple of minutes was going to tell you they're going to get their ish together and start playing some defense the first, let's say, 3-4 minutes of that third quarter, or Chicago's going to be in this thing the entire way, and the Lakers are going to have, a tough game in front of them to try to win at home and try to prevent losing 2 in a row. And we obviously know what's going on in the Western Conference and the standings and how tough all these games are. So with that all in mind, game starts, or the third quarter starts, and Chicago just keeps adding to their lead. If you thought 32 points in the first quarter was bad, or 33 in the second quarter, how about 39 points in the third quarter and 42 points in the fourth quarter for the Chicago Bulls? It's the most points Lakers gave up all season long. 146 points they give up to the Chicago Bulls. I really don't even know how to explain it. I had a lot of people in the postgame show saying, hey, Slee, that's what they get. That's karma for resting all your guys in the game on Monday, or I'm sorry, in the game on Saturday. Jesus, I'm way off on my days. On the game on Thursday against the Milwaukee Bucks. Today is Monday. Saturday was the Bulls. Thursday was the Milwaukee Bucks. Was it karma for Lakers sitting down all those players that they had on Thursday? Before I go back to Thursday's game and we talk karma, let me just kind of put a bow on this game against Chicago. It's one of the worst losses Lakers have had all season, and they got it handed to them. There was never a point in that second half where you kind of felt like, here, the Lakers going to make a run here. Buzelis had 31 points. Kobe White had 36. They had 7 guys scoring double figures. They shot 58% from the field, 46% from the three-point line. There was just everything was clicking for the Chicago Bulls. The pace they played with, the tempo that they tried using, firing off threes left and right and taking their chances. Part of the Lakers strategy is letting teams shoot threes. But by the way, that's not all they were doing. They were dominating points in the paint. Every stat that you can think of. Josh Giddey almost had a quadruple double. That's how bad it was. He had 8 steals on top of 7 assists, 15 points, and 10 rebounds for Josh Giddey. So it's a bad night. But I guess here's going to be the question for me as the Lakers get ready for this 4-game road trip. Was it a bad night, or is there something more to it? I'll hit on that in just a second, but I do want to just kind of go back to the karma thing that we were talking about. Yeah, I got to be honest with everybody. On Thursday, and I remember after the game on Thursday, I was doing the post-game show, and I'm like, all right, I guess it's the right thing to sit everybody. It is 6 games in 8 nights, but everybody, you don't want a chance to try to beat the Milwaukee Bucks? You don't want to just give yourself an opportunity to beat Milwaukee? We know the situation and the position the Lakers they're in the standings. We know how important, in my opinion, I think having home court, I don't think it's the end-all be-all, but trust me, I'd rather have home court than not. against any of these teams that they could potentially face in the playoffs. You still don't really, it's still not completely locked up that you wouldn't be playing in the play-in, even though I think they're still okay and they're still comfortable. Clippers got a loss yesterday. I think there's a 4-game cushion there between where the Lakers are and where the play-in is. But I thought that game against the Bucks, it just felt like Dame's not playing. That squad just beat you a week ago. You just blew out Denver, and really, did you have to use your guys that hard? Jokic and Murray weren't playing. Are you sure you want to sit all your guys in this game? And sure enough, they do sit everybody. They put themselves in a position, in a spot where it's like, all right, yeah, but everybody's coming back on Saturday. They're all going to be healthy. Everything's going to be all good. And the next thing you're looking up at the score, and it's like, did Lakers just lose by 31 at home to Chicago and gave up 146 points? That's kind of my analysis over these last couple of days. And do I think, I think a lot of times you could just have a bad game and you can call that with the Lakers. The problem is for the Lake Show is these games are so important, and you just lost 2 games in a row at home when you started the week 2-0 and you ended up 2-2. Okay, let me look at some of the comments here, see what people got to say, and then we'll get ready to start talking about just how critical of a road trip this is for the Lakers. All right, Some Kind of Wonderful. Thank you for the super, brother. I appreciate you very much. Karma for resting everyone against the Bucks. Is LeBron's defense going to be a problem? What is Rui's role? He looks slow on D. Guys, the last 2 people I would look at on the Lakers is LeBron and Rui right now. They're going to need some games to come back. You guys remember when Reaves was out for how long was Reaves out for? Maybe 5 games, something like that. Maybe it wasn't even 5 games, but I know he was out for a stretch. And when he came back, it took him 3 or 4 games to start looking like Austin Reaves again. So I'm not overly concerned about LeBron. I'm not overly concerned about Rui. I think these 2 guys will eventually kind of find their stride. I'm really not concerned about that. I think I was just more disappointed in the Lakers as a whole. As a whole for the Lakers, I was more disappointed about that. All right, let's keep looking at some of the comments here. Get people's frustration. I think they're just tired. Nah, I'm not buying that one. I'm not buying that one. I'll tell you why I'm not buying that one. I'm not buying that one because, and I do need a coffee, by the way. I definitely need a coffee. Still doing the tea. Yesterday, I was counting down the days. It's Sunday, and I'm like, all right, so what do we got? 21 days still left without coffee. I guess I'm used to it, sort of. Not really. I probably will never be used to it. This is why I'm not buying that they're just tired. That's why you didn't play against Milwaukee. Okay, you had a game on Tuesday. Or no, I'm sorry, you had a game on Wednesday. That's the Denver game. You had Thursday off. You had Friday off. You had a night game on Saturday. I don't know. That's 2.5 days off right there before they had to play. I'm not buying the tired one. All right, let's see what else we have here. Lakers didn't take them seriously. That's why they got smacked. Okay. Basketball gods. People love talking about the basketball gods. Peter, b-ball gods don't like when you rest people for no reason. When people pay a lot of money for those seats, refund. Okay. Let me get into, because I think we could sit here and obviously we could talk a ton about what happened on Saturday night, what happened in those last couple of games. Let's put that all to the side. Let's just kind of move on from that. It's a big road trip for the Lakers. It's a really, really big road trip for the Lakers. Just to give everyone, an idea, this is who they've got coming up. So this is the 4-game road trip that the Lakers got coming up. 8 of their final 12 games are on the road. So that ain't easy. That's why the Lakers have I looked this morning. It's the 5th toughest schedule on the road. So that's what the Lakers got coming up. They got the 5th toughest schedule coming up the rest of the way. 8 of their final 12 games are on the road. Obviously, by the time this week is done, then that balance will be there: 4 at home, 4 on the road, and then the Lakers, can get ready for the playoffs wherever they end up. Yeah, they'll play They'll come home, couple of games. They'll get 3 games in a row at home, and then 4 of their last 5 games will be on the road. Here's what they got on this road trip: Orlando, Indiana, Chicago, and Memphis. All these teams got something to play for. I know you say, okay, what are you talking about, Al? Orlando's in a playing spot, so they got something to play for. Chicago's in a playing spot and just handed it to the Lakers, so that should be an interesting game later in the week. Wednesday, they got the Pacers. Indiana's they're a nice team. I mean, I'm not telling you that Indiana's going to beat Cleveland or Boston, but they can beat Milwaukee. They could beat New York. I don't think they would beat New York in a 7-game set if Jalen Brunson is there, but they're in the number 4 spot in the Eastern Conference, and they're not in a terrible position. They're fighting, and then you close out the week on Saturday at Memphis, and we know their situation in Memphis. They're still trying to compete anywhere from 2 to 5 or something along those lines. We'll see where Ja Morant is by that stretch, but I know he hadn't played in a couple of games. Maybe he's back by now. With all that being said, it's a tough road trip. Now, I think the road trip's going to also help define a little bit what we think we know about this team, or maybe they just peaked too early and now teams have had a lot of time to adjust to it, and we'll have to find out what this team is moving forward. So let me give you kind of an idea about this. If I ask people out there, if I just ask a simple question, do you think you know what the squad is? Because if I said right now, let me give everyone an idea of what I think this Lakers team is. Here's how I would describe the Lakers. Here's what I think I already know about the Lakers, but I think this road trip's going to help give a little bit clearer of a picture if that solidifies what I think this Lakers team is, or if no, you know what? There's some things that are a little bit different than I thought. So let me tell you what I mean here. Okay. Here's what I know about the Lakers. I know almost every single game they're going to play tough. Nothing is really handed to them. They go out there and they earn it. I get it. 2-game losing streak. They looked bad against Chicago. Why'd they sit their players against Milwaukee? I'm not going to let 2 games signal what I think is a 30-game sample size with the Lakers that I've seen over this last couple of months, that I feel like that's their DNA and that's who they are. Or maybe, yeah, I'd call it 2 months or so. Really specifically since Vando got back, they kind of started this identity of who they are, okay? They play tough. Nothing is handed to them. They lock down on defense. I'm going to say this again. I got a chance. This was when the Lakers were playing Denver on Wednesday. Was at the arena, got a chance to ask Michael Malone about this kind of new version of the Lakers, what they look like. And the thing that stood out to me is the first thing he said is they play deep. How they play defense. Is it non-traditional? Sure, because it's a smaller lineup, but that's what he wanted to key in on, is that squad plays defense. Remember that game? Lakers were up in Denver, and Jokic only took 7 shots. He was 2 of 7 from the field. When the hell have you ever seen that? They almost beat Nikola Jokic and the Nuggets in the other game that the Lakers had, where nobody played as well, and they almost pulled that one off. I know they got a good coach. Is he not proven in the playoffs? Sure, that's fine. I guess that's going to be another learning experience for J.J. Redick. But so far this year, there's been nothing that J.J. Redick has indicated to me that the guy doesn't know what he's doing. He's not going to be prepared, and the moment's going to be too big for him. I haven't seen that yet from J.J. Redick. We'll see what happens once the playoffs come. They got 2 legitimate superstars, and they got a really, really good player in Austin Reaves as the third head of the snake, if you want to call it that. I don't even know if that's even a term. That's what I know about the Lakers. And I feel like this road trip is either going to assert that even more, or it's going to bring up questions that we didn't know we had about this Lakers team. Or it's going to start to kind of chip away at this squad maybe peaked a little bit too early. That's what I think this 4-game road trip is going to tell us. Because if they come out tonight, which I wouldn't be surprised at all if they came out tonight against Orlando and was like, let's go to work. It doesn't have to be a pretty game. You don't have to win by 25. You win by 5 points at Orlando, you take the win and you move on. Indiana and Chicago, what's that back-to-back going to look like? You got that Memphis Grizzlies game waiting for you on Saturday night. I think we'll find out a lot about this team. Again, I think it's such a key road trip. And if you still want a shot at the number 2 seed, I think you got to have a 3-1 week, something along those lines. Now, here's the good news for the Lakers. I did mention they got the 5th toughest schedule in the NBA, but the good news for the Lakers is as they sit here in the number 4 spot, they still have matchups against teams in front of them. Houston's got the number 2 seed. They still got 2 more games against them. They get Memphis this upcoming weekend. It's another way to either put a little bit of cushion on where Memphis is and solidify Lakers as one of those number 4 teams, or you're right back in the mix with everybody by the time this week is over. And maybe there isn't a guarantee that you have a better record than the Warriors or Memphis or some of these other teams in front of you. So that's why I think we got a lot that we still get to learn about the Lakers this week, and I'm excited about it. I'm expecting the version of the Lakers that I talked about earlier. They play tough, nothing is handed to them. They lock down on the defensive side. They got, a coach that will make the proper adjustments, and that's not going to be too stubborn and not too egotistical. They got 2 superstars that understand when to turn the gas on, when to distribute, when to go drop 35, when to have 15 assists. They got an Austin Reaves that can do what he does, but there's a lot to be figured out this week. And I think it's going to be a fun week to watch the Lakers play. Okay. Let's take a look at some of the comments here as we continue to go. All right, let's see what we got here. It was similar to the last Spurs loss. We got blown out by 20, I think. For these below 500 teams like Charlotte and the Nets, we haven't been taking them serious and losing. Dave, it's a good point. Let me actually tell you, because I think I could tell you all the losses the Lakers have had against teams. I think most of them below 500 over the course of the last couple of months, okay? The San Antonio Spurs game you're talking about was the first game after the fires. Lakers postponed the Charlotte game. They postponed the Spurs game, but they had back-to-back against the Spurs, and then they played the Spurs. That's the one, you're right, they lost by 20. They had a loss also against Utah before the break. They lost against Charlotte coming out of the break at home. They lost to Brooklyn on the road. They lost to, obviously, the Chicago Bulls. So that's a handful of losses against teams below 500. And maybe there is something about that. They didn't take them seriously. And then they got it handed to them. Let's get another one here. Luka not getting other players involved in offense at the start of the game. He takes most of his shots first quarter. Team is at a sink in second quarter. Yeah, Luka had another half where I think he dropped 29. I don't think Luka – let me tell you what I think Luka's doing in some of these games. I think for Luka, there's a little bit of – there's such an emphasis on the other team on the defensive side of how they're going to play Luka, right? Everything comes down to how are they going to play Luka. And for me, the way I kind of watch this, and I think Luka's just kind of trying to, what is the defense giving me? If they're not throwing a double team at me and I got some guy in front of me that I know I could drop 25 on in the first half, then I'm going to drop 25. Maybe that is taking some of the guys out of sync. I would tell you this: if I'm a defense from an opposing team, I'd rather have Luka drop 35 or 40 than have 25, but he had 15 assists as well. It's the same thing I would tell you about Nikola Jokic. It's the same thing I would tell you about LeBron. I'd rather these guys drop 35 or 40 than 27, but they had 14 assists and everybody else is involved. Everybody else is eating. Everybody else now feels like they're involved in the game and they're playing better defense and whatever the case is. You kind of go down the list. So I think for some of these opponents and for some of these teams, I do feel like there's a little bit of a strategy that he's just got to – he buys into the strategy in the sense of this is what they're giving me. This is what I got to take. Who cares about a home record? Championship teams win on the road. Okay, well, let me ask you this question. Let's play this one out. So Do you want on the road in the first round against? I'm gonna put these out there, and you tell me what you think. Do you want on the road in the first round against, let's say, Memphis? I'm just using, let's say these two flip, the 4-5 flip. And then on the road against OKC after that, and then on the road against Denver after that, just to get to the NBA Finals and be on the road against Boston or Cleveland. You're right. Championship teams do win on the road. I get that. But do you really want to do it for 4 rounds? I mean, if you were able to get that number 2 seed, we'll see what happens. Maybe Lakers got no shot at the number 2 seed in a week and a half, 2 weeks. Maybe they're right in the mix after they play Houston and everything else. Or would you rather, have a road where you still had to win on the road to go win an NBA championship, but not every single round is on the road. Not every single game 7 would be on the road. Do I think playing on the road for LeBron and Luka is that big of a deal? Probably not. LeBron's done it his whole career. Did you guys remember a couple years ago when Luka had to go on the road in Phoenix in a game 7? We saw what he did against them. Luka getting to the NBA final. I mean, I'm not telling you that a road game is going to be, championship teams don't win on the road. But what I will tell you is I'd rather be at home. So simply put there. All right, let me get some more of these comments in here. Got to get out of the 4-5 seed to avoid OKC in the second round. Yeah, and frankly, I mean, the way it's looking, Denver had a good win yesterday. We'll see what happens. I mean, there's still just too much moving and shaking right now to really know where these guys are going to be. There's just so much going on in the Western Conference. Like all of a sudden, too, it's not just Houston, Denver, Lakers, and Memphis. Golden State's not that far behind. Minnesota's not that far behind. Clippers are not that far behind. Clippers lost to OKC yesterday, so that's helpful to the Lakers. So something to keep in mind. All right, let's get a couple more comments in here, and then we'll keep things going. Avoiding. Okay. Yeah, Ryan. Yeah. You want to end up with the best record that you could end up with. And if you got to go through other teams in that process, then you got to go through other teams in that process. But if you can get home court, get home court. You want home court. Lakers are 2-7 versus contenders this season. I don't know if you mean contenders. I'm assuming you mean, let's see if I understand this right. Boston, if it's Boston, Cleveland, and OKC, just those 3 teams. I know they went 0-2 against, I think those are the 3 teams you're talking about. 0-2 against Cleveland, 1-1 against Boston puts them 1-3. And then OKC, I don't know which contenders you're talking about. Maybe you got Denver in the mix. I'm not sure which teams you have in the mix here. All right. Luka wasn't the issue on Saturday. It was LeBron at 50% coming back from injury. Give him time, guys. He's going to need a second. Don't be shocked or surprised tonight. Lakers look just like they did when they looked great for that stretch of that 20-4. Don't be surprised because I think tonight is going to be a little bit, you got embarrassed on Saturday. And we'll find that. That's why I keep kind of going back to this. I think we'll find out a lot about the Lakers in this next week. Because if they went 1-3 this week, you know what? Maybe they peaked too high. If they went 3-1 this week, it's like, nope, that team that you were thinking of in the past is the exact team that once they got LeBron and Rui back, okay, now they know that there's no excuses here. They can't walk into a game where they just assume they're going to get a W. I think this road trip is going to tell. I think it's going to tell a ton. I really do. I do believe that. All right, let me look at 1 or 2 more comments here, and then I want to keep things going. Let's see. LeBron low-key came back early to make sure he gets his 65 games in. Excuse me. Excuse me. Got to play through it. See what I'm saying? Play through it. I don't think LeBron's touching the floor unless he was healthy. That's my opinion. I don't think he's touching the floor unless he was healthy, and he's healthy. Bless yous everywhere. Thank you guys. I appreciate you. Thank you. I play through it. Got to play through it. It's like I just in the podcast world, sneezing like that and coming right back on is the equivalent of a grade 3 ankle sprain in game 6 of the finals. And I basically just said, I'm tying up my shoes a little tighter and I'm going right back on the court. And the coach is asking, hey, Slee, do you want a timeout? I'm like, no timeout. Let's keep playing. Let's keep playing. That's the equivalent of sneezing on a podcast. You guys don't know this because you guys don't have a pod. I do. That's a grade 3 sprain. I don't know what the hell I'm talking about. All right. Why does he need 65 games? He's not. I agree with this. I don't really know what he's going to. He's not getting an MVP. I'm not 100% sure what it would accomplish by playing the 65. All right. Let's never a Paul Pierce in the 2008 NBA Finals. Never. Paul Pierce didn't even get injured. Ever. I still don't know why he left the game. Does anybody know why he left the game? I still don't know to this day. Was he saying he had to go use the bathroom or something like that? I think that's the only one that I saw that I'm like, okay, well, that one makes sense. That's the only one that makes sense here. All right. Let's talk about our people here. Talk about Brad Wallace and the Wallace firm. Thank you for their partnership. Awesome being at their studios last week, hanging out with Brad Wallace. I still got to put out a video. There's a Kobe piece that I want to put out. I'll put it in one of my shorts here. He's got a lot of cool memorabilia and everything else. He's a proud partner of the channel, proud partner of the show. I'll tell you just a quick little history between him and I. Known each other for about 5 years. When I was on 710 ESPN, he followed me on to 710 ESPN, and I was very grateful. Or he targeted me on 710 ESPN. I was very grateful that he wanted to sponsor a lot of the different things I was doing: the Lakers broadcast, my Lakers talk show, Travis and Sliwa show, everything. Him and I kept in touch even when they stopped advertising. And then once I left 710 ESPN, I end up chatting with him, and it's kind of interesting. Here's a business owner that's telling me, congratulations, you're now going to get to try to do something on your own. And here he is now supporting the channel. If you or someone you know or someone close to you has been seriously injured or is dealing with the loss of a loved one, you should find out what legal options you have, and you deserve to have the right legal team backing you. When it comes to holding insurance companies accountable and maximizing case results, my guy, Brad Wallace and his legal team at the Wallace firm, they're the real deal. They consistently win big injury and wrongful death cases, and you won't pay them until they win for you. So I think that's probably the best part. We got a URL here, wallacewins.com/Sliwa. You can get a free consultation. Nothing out of your pocket. If you want me to make a personal introduction to Brad Wallace, I can do so. The main point that we want to make across, that we want to bring to light here is, we hope nothing ever happens to you or a family member, but life happens. And if it does, wallacewins.com/Sliwa, wallacewins.com/Sliwa, get a free consultation, or I'm happy to make an introduction. So thank you to Brad Wallace and his entire team there. I know most of the team there, but got to meet some more members last week as well. Just good people that are supporting the place. All right, let's keep going here. Pierce sucks. That I don't think anybody's. I've heard this story before. I'll just let you guys read it. I've heard that one before. I think I've heard this one before as well. Yep. I think that's the only one that's logical and that makes sense, because none of the other stuff made sense. Melvin, what are you talking about? He wasn't hurt? Okay. All right. LeBron was never hurt. All right. Well, if that makes you feel better, then go ahead and roll with that. All right. I got a quick question for everybody. I'm going to have a good video coming out here this week. This week, I'm going to have a good video coming out. It's going to be on LeBron and Anthony Davis and their time together. So I'm working on kind of having some independent videos come up outside of what I'm doing live. So much what I'm doing is live, but I like the idea of just, hey, I got a good idea. Let me put a video out on it. And the following day, I'm going to spend a little bit of time on that. So that will be coming out. I saw an article, or I saw this was actually part of a podcast. Get this here. Marcus Morris Sr. was on with Yahoo Sports, and they hit on a bunch of different topics. I'm going to read you guys a quote here because this came up on First Take on Friday. I didn't actually see this portion of the interview on Yahoo Sports, but this came up as a topic on Friday on First Take as well. And I want to just get everybody's thoughts on it. This is going to actually lead me into a topic on Anthony Davis as well, because he may be coming back. Let me read the actual quote here, and I want everybody's opinion on it. Obviously, we know February 1st, after the Lakers played the Knicks, AD gets traded to Dallas Mavericks for Luka. Former NBA player Marcus Morris Sr. went as far as saying during a Yahoo Sports podcast that Davis was inhibiting James. Let me read the quote here. By the way, I'm grabbing this off LeBron Wire, which is a website out there. Okay. I felt Anthony Davis was in LeBron's way because LeBron's really a 4 now. So he's talking about LeBron's really more of a power forward now. And that's the position that Anthony Davis wanted to play. He was always on the box. He wasn't really stretching the 3 that well. Now you add another guard, not even just another guard. Let's make that clear. You add a top 5 guard in the NBA that can get it from anywhere, and he's a matchup nightmare. And he's talking about LeBron. So I think the point Marcus Morris Sr. is trying to make here is that AD, for the most part, wanted to play in the block. And by the way, that's not too big of a surprise or a shock. There's a lot of big men that are just not talented enough or good enough to where they got the ball around the basket. They can hit an 18-footer. They can back you down. They can grab offensive rebounds. They can hit jumpers off the glass. They can step back and hit a 22-footer if they need to. AD had his whole arsenal working. Let's put it that way. Okay. So let me kind of pause there for a quick second. I'm gonna read another position here. He said, because LeBron's really a 4 now, we know what Anthony Davis wanted to play the 4. He wanted another big man to be, playing that 5 position, similar to when the Lakers in 2020 with Dwight Howard and JaVale McGee, Marc Gasol in 2021. He really wanted to play that number 4 position. So Marcus Morris Sr. thinks that Anthony Davis was in LeBron's way, literally in LeBron's way, because of the position that he played and because AD was more comfortable being around the block. Now you got the Lakers. Really, there's no big man now that the Lakers have that they can rely on. Okay, Jackson Hayes, but what are they really asking Jackson Hayes to do? They're asking Jackson Hayes to roll to the basket or get the hell out of the way for the most part. So Marcus Morris says that it gives LeBron more spacing and room to be LeBron James. Okay? Like I said, this eventually made it to First Take, and Stephen A. Smith was talking about it. Here's what Stephen A. Smith said. He said, I think that was an excellent analysis on the part of Marcus Morris. Let me read a little bit of what Stephen A. Smith said. He said, yeah, Rob Pelinka might have got that call, but I assure you that when he went to J.J. Redick said, do everything you can to get that damn deal done, because Luka Doncic coming to our team, being able to draw attention from defenses is going to free up others to shoot threes. And one of those people is going to include LeBron James, who's essentially your wideout because he gets to operate more in open space. He gets to play bully ball when he wants to because he's 6'9", 260, or he gets to step outside because he's improved his three-point shot. And oh, by the way, he's having more uncontested three-point shots than he ever has had in a Lakers uniform. Okay. So here's the argument that they're making, and I don't completely agree with, which is why I wanted to spend a little bit of time on this. I think if the point they're trying to make is because the trade happened, it allows LeBron to play a different style of basketball at this stage of his career, that part I don't disagree with. But there's part of this that almost makes it sound like, well, they're making this trade because it frees up LeBron to do other things. They're making this trade for one reason, and I think everybody understands that. And it has nothing to do with spacing for LeBron or LeBron's going to get more threes. It has nothing to do with that. It just doesn't. They got a chance to get a top 5 player in the NBA who at the time of the trade was 25, and Anthony Davis is 32, I think about to turn 33, unless he already did, and has a injury history, and you've already had him on the team for 6 years. And by the way, you already won an NBA championship with him. So what's the worst that can happen here? You just start a new era of Lakers basketball. That's why the trade was made. It wasn't made for any other reason. There's no other reason why that trade was made. It wasn't made to allow LeBron to be 260 pounds and play bully ball and get to the basket more and free up three-point shots. That could be the effect of the trade. That could be the circumstance of part of what happened because the trade happened. This is the trickle effect of it. But I don't think, personally, I'm going to say this. I don't think that Anthony Davis was in LeBron's way at any point of his career. I don't. I think Anthony Davis was actually a great compliment to what LeBron brought to the table. And I think the reason why every time the Lakers got to the playoffs, everyone would say, freaking that team can be dangerous, is because it was LeBron and Anthony Davis. And I do think these two guys complemented each other in their game. And if there was a time where LeBron was cooking, I don't think Anthony Davis is going to get in his way, or I don't think Anthony Davis would hinder LeBron from being LeBron James. Now, having basically another LeBron on the floor, which is what you got in Luka Doncic, that opens up a completely different look for LeBron. He's not accustomed to it. Now he could play off ball. And again, I think this is just a trickle effect of what happened because of the trade. But I don't think anyone in that front office was saying, hey, if we trade for Luka, this is what it will do to LeBron's game. And now we actually have a better shot of winning an NBA championship than we did with Anthony Davis. I don't think people thought that was all going to happen this year. But as we're sitting here, they probably have a better shot to win an NBA championship than they did when they had Anthony Davis, just based on how they've played. And I'm talking about that more from a factual perspective. We'll see if it holds up, right? That's kind of goes back to why this road trip's going to be so important and everything else. All right, let's take a look at some of the comments here. I'm curious to see if people agree more with Marcus Morris Sr. and if they agree with Stephen A. Smith as well. Let's see what else we got here. All right, I got some person saying it's called posting up. Yeah, it is called posting up. That is something that you kind of got to do. Sleet, what's the reasoning on why coaching staff really want to play AD at the 5? Maybe more pace, speed of the game. You got more guys out there that can defend multiple positions. I'm going to assume it's all that stuff. AD had it when he had it, but he never really had it. Yeah, listen, there were definitely some times with Anthony Davis where there was some frustration. And then there were times with Anthony Davis, you're like, this is the best man on the floor right now. It is true, though, AD and Bron can't both play the 4. I don't think they needed to both play the 4. That's why AD was playing the 5. I think there were some times, and I know Anthony Davis wanted to get another big man. All right, so then LeBron plays the 3. You know, they say positionless basketball. It really is a positionless game because LeBron can play the 5, the 4, the 3, or the 1. LeBron can play any position, or maybe even now, even the 2, because he's spotting up in the corners like a shooting guard would. All right, let me get another one in here. We better not lose tonight. You're not getting there. AD never added to his game after winning a trip. His shooting got worse. I'll tell you how AD added to his game. He was arguably one of the best defensive players every time they stepped on the floor. I think all we look at is offense. Do we know how brilliant Anthony Davis was on the defensive side? Do people forget that LeBron can also take some plays off on the defensive side because he knows he's got Anthony Davis holding out down the fort and the foundation of the Lakers defense? Do we know that as well? I think there are a lot of times we just looked at Anthony Davis as just an offensive guy, and we forget what he was doing for LeBron and the rest of the team defensively. AD slander has to stop. There was no future for the Lakers with AD, no trade value, no way to move forward. Luka opens everything up. And I would never sit here and tell you that, obviously that trade shouldn't have gone down. Frankly, I think anybody who thinks that trade shouldn't have gone down, I question their basketball knowledge. All I'm saying is somebody making an argument that Anthony Davis was in LeBron's way, that sounds a little extreme to me. That one is a little, and that's a couple people saying that. So it's not just Marcus Moore saying it, Stephen A saying it as well. I think that almost, again, I think that indirectly or maybe even directly takes away some of the value that Anthony Davis, I thought, brought to the Lakers. AD mid-range used to be automatic. AD is broken glass. Luka, unlike AD, is willing to take our Laker reigns. Now, guys, you got the superstar. Superstar is there. No question about it. Slee, AD turned 32 after the trade. Okay, 31 going on 32, not 32 going on 33. Got it. I don't know if you guys saw this, but I read this article this morning. Appreciate all the comments, by the way. Thank you guys for hanging out here. I don't know if you guys read this or if you guys saw this. Mavs Anthony Davis nearing return ahead of road trip. If you guys remember this, I talked about this probably about a week ago or so. And I think a lot of people disagreed with me on this. I'm not 100%. But I was making an argument that when Kyrie went down, and I think Shams had a piece or either an article or he was on TV or was on X, whatever the case was, and Shams was saying something to the effect of that AD and his team will have to look at Rich Paul, their team. They may shut down Anthony Davis for the year as well. Like, why is he going to come back if Kyrie's not playing? And I don't know what it was, but that bothered me. I'm like, wait a minute here. So AD was going to potentially come back if he's healthy. Let me preface everything that I'm talking about here. If Anthony Davis is healthy, if he's healthy, 100%, he's good to go, no questions asked. Why are you shutting him down? What, you traded for him. You see what's happening to the Dallas Mavericks. And frankly, I don't want to hear this stuff. People say, yeah, but look at the vibe around Dallas. And then you got other injuries that happened and everything else. If you're healthy and you can go, if you're Anthony Davis, you got to go. I don't think anybody, like, I got a lot of respect for Anthony Davis because of what I'm about to say right here. There were some people within the organization, the front office, it's like, is it really worth it? Why don't we just shut him down? We'll start preparing for next year. Okay, let me just play that out real quick. This is what's happened to the Dallas Mavericks this year. They got their superstar traded in Luka. 31 minutes into Anthony Davis's career, he's out. He's been out now for, I want to say, 6 weeks he's been out now. Something along those lines. Kyrie tears his ACL, and he's going to be out for not just this year, who knows how many months of next year's basketball season as well. How many games, he's going to eventually miss. You had the Gafford, the Lively injuries. Dante Exum just got injured. You got a number of guys that are out. I think Hardy for them is injured as well. It's a mess, complete mess. You have ownership that looks like an idiot. Nico Harrison that traded a 25-year-old. It's complete chaos in Dallas. When I saw this article this morning, for me, I said to myself, it's a great look for Anthony Davis. If he's healthy and he's pushing, if I'm healthy, I'm going to come play. That to me is, you got to respect that. And that's all I'm saying. I'm not telling you Dallas is going to go make a run at an NBA championship. I do know they got the same exact record as the Phoenix Suns to get in that number 10 spot, to obviously grab that last play-in spot. Phoenix does have the tiebreaker, so they got some damage. They got to win some games here. Let me actually look at something here. I want to just see. Phoenix still has the toughest schedule left in the NBA. Let's see where Dallas is. Dallas has the 20th toughest schedule left in the NBA. The point I'm trying to make here is, can you give the Dallas Maverick fans maybe something to sort of cheer about? Anything to cheer about? So I know AD is nearing a return ahead of the road trip, could be returning, they said, after a 6-week absence. He's listed doubtful against the Brooklyn Nets. I think they got a game tonight. They're on a 4-game road trip, and is basically trying to come back. I respect that. And I think that's a good look for him in Dallas to try to come back. Whether he comes back, whether he doesn't, we'll see what eventually happens. Maybe it works out. Maybe it doesn't work out. I don't know. But when I saw that article, I just think that's a great look for Anthony Davis. It's a good look for Anthony Davis if everybody's basically telling him, hey, shut it down. Kyrie's not coming back. And he's like, no, if I can go, I'm going to play. So for me, there's no hate. AD should have his number retired with us, but an opportunity approached, and we took it. Guys, I hope I'm not coming off a certain way, or maybe it's talking to somebody in the chat. 100 GMs would have made that move 100 times out of 100. It had nothing to do with Anthony Davis. It had to do with getting Luka. So I don't think anybody should be arguing that one. Let me see here. I want to see another thing here. When I think of late AD's legacy, I think of us up 2-1 on Phoenix playoffs and me getting nachos at crypto, and then he gets injured and then he's out. He was dominant too. That kind of has come with AD. No AD in the Laker banners. I think he'll be there. Slee, stop telling folks if they're healthy, they got to go while their team's just healthy players because of back-to-back. This is a different predicament. By the way, I was the one saying they should play on Thursday. So I don't know what you want me to tell you. This one's a little bit different of a situation predicament. Dallas's predicament, their situation. I think if he can go, he can go. I think people are saying here, the retire Anthony Davis's jersey. Guys, if you win a championship and you're a key piece to a championship, it's a good chance you're going to get, your jersey up there. I mean, that could be a separate conversation on its own, but I wouldn't be surprised. I really wouldn't. We'll see. Played 5+ years, didn't even play 6 full years. William Rodriguez, Powell, AD. Oh, I love me some Powell. Love Powell. All right, I got one last Laker thing I want to get into real quick, and then a couple other things that I want to do. I'm going to play this. This is a little bit old. It's about a week old or so. And there was just so much going on last week, so I didn't really get a chance to address it, to talk about it. I want you guys to take a look here. There is one of the podcasts that Lou Williams is on. They're talking about Austin Reaves. I want you guys to just take a listen, and they're talking about basically the value of Austin Reaves as the third best player on this Lakers team as a third option. Take a quick listen.
This is not a diss to Austin Reaves. He's not.
Usually when you say this is not a diss, it might be a diss. You're not trying to make it a diss, but it sort of might sound like a diss. Here's Lou Williams.
This is not a diss to Austin Reaves. He's not even the best third option in Los Angeles.
Whoa.
Would you take Austin Reaves or would you take Norman Powell?
I knew Norman Powell was coming.
Close my case.
I don't
that's
know.
That's not even like a real thing. A third option isn't a thing. That's not a thing.
But doesn't the third option also matter where you are? The third option.
Third option for the team that he plays for.
Right.
But let's stop.
That is the best point that he made. He's a great third option for the team that he plays for. And if you actually want to make a run, Reaves can't be your second option. Shouldn't be your second option. And in a perfect world, you have a team like Boston where your third option could be Drew Holiday. Your third option could be Derek White. Your third option could be Kristaps Porzingis. Basically, you have so many guys that are all really good that third option kind of is up in the air. When I think of the Lakers back in the day, when I think of the Lakers back in the day, you guys remember they had, let's go to Kobe and Powell. Who was a third option for the Lakers with Kobe and Powell? I'll tell you who it was. One night it was Andrew Bynum. The next night it might be Lamar Odom. The next night, it might be Derek Fisher. Go to the Shaq and Kobe days, right? One night, it might be Robert Horry. The next night, it might be Rick Fox. The next night, it might be Derek Fisher. It might be Devin George. Could be a number of different guys. You kind of got your basics of who typically steps up. But championship squads, for the most part, it's like, yeah, there's a rotating 3-4 players that can be the best player on any given night. For the Lakers, it's not really that. For the Lakers, it's Luka, LeBron, Reaves. Maybe you have a night where Gabe Vincent hits a couple of shots and we make a big deal about it, or Rui has a night, or Jordan Goodwin goes off, or Dalton Connect. But for the most part, it's going to be Austin Reaves before any of those other role players. Let's keep listening here.
Stop the best third option.
It's a good point, too, because Norman Powell was an all-star snub. Austin Reaves wasn't an all-star snub.
It's not a real thing. So I don't want his fans upset about something that's not even real. So he's a great third option for the team that he's on and the way that he plays. He's a great basketball player, but it's not even a real.
What do you guys think? What do you guys think? He's got a good point there, what he's trying to say, or is it? I really don't think he's trying to be disrespectful to AR. I really don't think he is. But there's a little bit that comes off that he's not even the best third option in LA. And he mentions Norman Powell because of James Harden, obviously Kawhi Leonard, and Norman Powell. I will tell you this. There was a ranking. Let me actually, I want to compare I wrote them down here. Both players' stats. Okay. Norman Powell's averaging 22 points a game, almost 23, with 2 assists. Okay. Austin Reaves is averaging 20 points a game with 6 assists and 4.5 rebounds. My personal preference, give me the guy that's scoring 20 points, 6 assists, and 4.5 rebounds over the guy giving you 23 points a game with 2 assists and 3 rebounds. That's a personal opinion there. But I don't think there's that far off between what Norman Powell brings to the table and what Austin Reaves brings to the table. That's just my own personal opinion. I've seen Reaves drop 45 on the Indiana Pacers. I've seen him have triple doubles. I've seen him drop 30. I've seen him have 12, 13 dimes. Kind of seen him do a little bit of everything. But that's just kind of the stats from both of those players. I saw this. This was kind of interesting. Before the season started, this is on September 25th. I was just kind of curious going back here, ranking the NBA's number 3 options. Okay, and they ranked the best third stars in the NBA. Look how much things change as the season goes. Who do you think was the number 1 third option in the NBA coming into the season? What do you guys think it was? I'm going to let you guys kind of put a couple of players out there because I'd be curious. I'd be curious to get your guys' opinion of who you guys think was the number 1 third option coming into the season. And let's just say once the season starts, you have an idea of who it might be. And then once the season starts, how much all of that actually changes. Okay. Let me read some of these. Got Beal. Got Evan Mobley. Got Porzingis. Got Darius Garland. We got Booker. We got Tyrese Maxey. Chris Middleton, I think, is a good guess too. Donovan too. It's basically the head of the snake for them, even though they got a lot of players. Paul George was the number 1 ranked third option. So they thought Tyrese Maxey, which I would have as well, was before. Tyrese Maxey's not going to be your third best player. He's going to be 1 or 2. I know if Joel Embiid is healthy, Embiid will be your 1, Tyrese will be your 2. But obviously he was never healthy. They had Paul George as the best third option in the NBA. Number 2, they had Rudy Gobert. Number 3, they had Kristaps Porzingis. Number 4, they had Chet Holmgren, which is that's actually a good one because of Jalen Williams and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. And then number 5, they had Desmond Bane. So those were your top 3, or those were your top 5 third options. Do you know how far down the list Austin Reaves was? I'll tell you guys right now. Number 22. Before the season started, he was at number 22. A lot has changed, and I'm not here saying, oh, Lou Williams is crazy or this, that, whatever the case is. The point that I'm trying to make is how much Austin Reaves just continues to kind of, anybody that had doubt in him continues to kind of jump up some of those rankings. So they had him all the way down at number 22. Clearly, if you re-rank that today, Austin Reaves is probably on that top 5 list. I'd have to look to see, where exactly. And I'm not sure I'm sure there's a lot of really, really good third options for other teams that we're not watching on a night in, night out basis, but they had him all the way down at number 22. So something to keep in mind there. Rather have Norman than Austin. You can make that argument. I like the stats of what Reaves does. Give me 26 and 4.5 over one extra 3-pointer from Norman Powell with 2 assists. Norman Powell's a good player. I'm a fan of his game too. He's a good player. I know last couple of times I want to say Lakers have played them, they didn't have Norman Powell, so he was injured. Norman Powell's one-dimensional, not AR. I think Norman Powell actually sneaky can get to the basket. He doesn't have the stop and go that Austin Reaves does. Reaves can draw fouls, get to the basket. Norman Powell definitely a better 3-point shooter than Austin Reaves. I'm assuming so. I haven't really looked at the stats, but what I'm thinking. Let's see what we got here. Honestly, Reaves is a bench player, rotation guy. He's not even as good as Kirk Hinrich, and Hinrich was really good. Guys, Reaves a good player. Reaves a good player. I don't know what you guys want me to tell you. He's a solid player. But like I said, I'm going to go back to the point that I made. Championship teams. Go back to Warriors winning championships, right? I mean, how many players do these guys have? You guys remember, okay, put Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, put those guys to the side. Draymond Green, you want to even put him to the side. Andre Iguodala, Sean Livingston. Eventually, Kevin Durant came on board. Like, to be a championship team, there isn't a clear-cut third star because you got 2 stars, but you got a number of different players that are out there that are obviously contributing on a night in, night out basis as well. This is a good one too. I'll use Denver as an example. Okay, Denver had Jamal Murray, Nikola Jokic. You know that was your 1-2. Aaron Gordon can go off in any night. Michael Porter can go off in any night. KCP can go off in any night. Bruce Brown can go off in any night. Got to have depth. Okay, last one I'm going to read here, and then we'll get to a couple other topics. I love Reaves as a Laker. We need to keep at least some of our homegrown crazy Laker players aren't allowed to have a bad night here or there without them being heavily criticized or praised. Yeah, I have a difficult time. I don't really understand. With Reaves, I feel like there's a lot of there's people that really like him, or there's a lot of criticizing that comes towards AR. That one gets a little confusing. It's like Austin Reaves isn't making $30 million a year. Let me give you a good example. When we're critical about Rui Hachimura, you're critical because Rui's making $17 million a year. Take what Rui does for the Lakers and what Reaves does for the Lakers. Take those 2 players. Reaves, 8 nights out of 10, is going to have better performances than Rui Hachimura. And he's also making less money than Rui. But I feel like a lot of it goes towards Austin Reaves, as in he's not doing enough. I don't know. That one is that one's a little bit surprising to me. Okay, as we do every Monday and Friday. Mondays we do the recap. Fridays we do the preview. Let's spend a little bit of time looking at a couple of storylines that we're grabbing from the weekend. A couple of main stories in the NBA as well. Let me just finish off the NBA here real quick because there's a couple other things that I just want to point out. It looks like I saw earlier today that Steph Curry is joining the Warriors in Miami. So I'm not sure when he's coming back, but it sounds like he'll be coming back soon. Obviously, a big game for them. Every game is a big game for them now that they're in this situation. like everybody in the Western Conference. We sit here and we're talking about how, oh my God, what a big game for the Lakers. Okay, means the Warriors got a big game. Means Denver's got a big game. Means Houston's got a good big game. Memphis, Clippers, everybody's got a big game. The only team really not playing for anything right now is OKC. In the Western Conference, that's the only team that they can rest their players between now and the playoffs start, and it won't affect them in the standings. Jimmy Butler making his return to Miami. It's kind of funny, actually. Guy just got traded, the way he left Miami, and then they still got a road game in Miami. That's going to be interesting. Here's what he had to say about the upcoming game against Miami. Yeah, I was traded from there, yada, yada, yada. Yeah, it didn't end the way that people wanted to, yada, yada, yada. But that's so far beyond me now, I don't even think about it. I don't pay attention to nothing except for the trajectory of this squad. So that should be kind of should be a fun game. The game tonight. He basically said that it's just another game. It definitely ain't another game. And the way he left Miami, I think there's going to be some boos there. I think there will be. I wouldn't be shocked or surprised if that's the case. Let me look to see here. Is that game? When is that game coming up? They might be playing tomorrow. Warriors Heat tomorrow. So that game's going to be on TNT. So something to keep in mind there if that's something you guys are paying attention to. Okay, one other NBA story. You call it two quick ones here. Nikola Jokic expected back during the Nuggets homestand. So Jokic is going to be coming back. They've had some interesting performances, really, really interesting performances. It's when I feel like Denver is at their low, all of a sudden they kind of surprise you with a good win or a solid win or something along those lines. They won on the road yesterday. Jamal Murray had 39 at Houston without Nikola Jokic. So looks like he's going to be coming back soon. And then Jalen Brunson out at least one more week. Something to keep in mind from that perspective. College basketball, as we do a little bit more of this weekend recap. UConn out. They went back-to-back championships. I got a little haterade in me for UConn. They beat San Diego State 2 years in a row, in the once in the finals, the other one in the Sweet 16. UConn's historic run ends against the Florida Gators, 77-75. I did catch myself watching some of the games. I'm not a big, college basketball guy. Obviously, this time of the year, it is fun. But now, Sweet 16 is all set up. I'll watch these games. I like them at Arizona at Duke. I like that one. Or, obviously nobody's getting home games. But Arizona versus Duke, I think that should be a fun game. That's coming up on Thursday. They got 4 games on Thursday. And then they got 4 games coming up on Friday. Ole Miss, Michigan State, Michigan, Auburn, Purdue, Houston. So no real ties to any of these schools. So I guess I'll only watch a little bit. And then the last thing I want to mention as part of the weekend recap, this one's kind of crazy. One baseball thing that I got. I don't know if you guys read the story about Mookie. A stomach illness. He's down from 175 pounds to 157. He's had a stomach illness. Read a couple quotes here. I just want to play. I'm tired of sitting, tired of just throwing up, tired of doing all this. I just really want to play. So he was talking about how he feels. My body's just kind of eating itself. It's hard to not fuel it. And so literally every time I fuel my body, I throw up. I don't know what to do. Damn. So I don't know what he had. This is before he went to Japan, and he's had this stomach illness for a while. That's kind of scary, crazy. I mean, I don't know how you want to describe it, but yeah, that's been what he's been dealing with this stomach illness. All right, I'll read a couple comments here. We're going to call it a day and go from there. The weekend recap, as always, is presented to you by the Wallace firm. Need legal help for a serious injury? The Wallace firm are proven trial lawyers. Go to wallacewins.com/Sliwa to learn more. Get a free consultation. They could help anybody in the state of California. And as I've always said, I'm always happy to make an introduction if anybody needs an introduction to Brad Wallace and the Wallace firm. All right, take a look at some of the comments here. We're going to call it a day. Yeah, people basically like, what the hell? So if I want to lose 20 pounds in less than a month, that's the way to do it. Nice haircut, Lee. Thank you, brother. Thank you. Yeah, I went clean yesterday. Just a clean shave. Clean shave. Always feels good. You guys see Dan Hurley after the UConn loss. What'd he say? Something about, I hope the refs don't F you the way they F'd us. Something like that. I think that's what it was. I think AR should come off the bench. The D is suffering with him, Luka and Bron. Let's not overreact to this. You know, they've played one game with LeBron back. They were playing phenomenal defense. Rui will eventually, I think, work his way back to the starting lineup. We'll see. I got faith in JJ Redick. So whatever he thinks the Lakers should do, I'm kind of going to roll with the punches on that one. And I did think from the beginning, I did think AR should come off the bench, but I also have said that JJ Redick has made all the right decisions. Let's see what happens here. Here's another one. Reaves not a good fit in the starting lineup. Norman Powell is in year 10, 31 years old, and best slightly better than Reaves now. Not sure he would be close to Reaves' numbers with Bron, AD, Bron, Luke on this team. Dan Hurley is a first-class a-hole. You know, unfortunately, you could be a first-class a-hole. I mean, you shouldn't be, but he had 2 national championships in a row. So I think he was walking around like he was a first-class a-hole. Slee, 7 or 8-man rotation in the playoffs. Oh, 8 at the minimum. They'll probably 9's a lot in the playoffs, but I could see them using 9. Let me just name off to you who's going to be in the playoff rotation, and then you figure out who gets left out. Okay. Let me just go through the starting lineup. I'm assuming that they go back to the old starting lineup. You got 5 right out the gate with LeBron, AR, Luka, Jackson Hayes, Rui Hachimura. Vando's going to be in the lineup, of course. Dorian Finney-Smith's going to be in the lineup, of course. Gabe Vincent is, of course, going to be in the lineup. That's 8 right there. That's 8. You have no additional big men that you've used. You know, what they end up doing from that perspective. We haven't mentioned Dalton Connect either. We haven't mentioned Jordan Goodwin, if he's on the playoff roster. Maybe they keep a Koloko or a Trey Jameson III just to have some size. I mean, they're going at least 9. At least 9, in my opinion. Or maybe 9 is the number. All right, let's see what else we got here. Let's see. Goodwin must be in the rotation. Yeah. Yeah, a lot of people like Goodwin. They should. All right, my people. I think we're done for today. Back on tonight after Lakers take on the Orlando Magic. So early tip-off. How early is this game? Is it 4 or 4:30? What do we got here? 4 or 4:30? Lakers a 4 o'clock tip-off. 4 o'clock tip-off. Right after that game, come hang out right here. We'll do the post-game show here. Hopefully a Lakers W tonight. I really think this road trip is going to be key. It's going to be important. It's going to tell a lot about this team. So, 2-2 at worst, but you're hoping for 3-1. 2-2 at worst. Anything outside of 2-2. I mean, even 2-2, I'd be a little disappointed. I want to see them do some damage on this road trip. So we'll see what happens. Thank you for hanging out. Appreciate you guys being a part of the show. Hope you guys have a great rest of your Monday. Please subscribe to the channel if you guys don't mind. Would greatly appreciate that. If you have yet to subscribe, please subscribe. Have a great rest of your day. Shout out to Brad Wallace and the Wallace Firm for being a partner. And thank you, everybody, for hanging out.